now.
Huh?
You're live.
Hey guys, Gabe Update here, Big Man Comics. How you doing today? It's a Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. I had a good time. I went over to the yesterday. I went to the Top Gun house. If you remember, you take my breath away. Um, Tom Cruise, Maverick goes over there to spend some time with his lady friend. That is in. Sorry, I need a drink. That is in Oceanside, California, which is the northernmost, northernmost, the Swedish chef from Sesame Street, northernmost part of what we would call San Diego. I know Oceanside is its own city or whatever, but it's where the Marines are. Just north of Oceanside is Camp Pendleton, the main Marine proving ground. And yeah, there's the little house is still there. I guess there used to be a bunch of beachfront little homes there, but now it's been turned. There's some nice hotels and condos and stuff. This is on the beachfront, right by the pier, and yeah, they kept the little cottage, the little home where he rendezvoused with her romantically, and it's a little like pastry snack shop. They make like tiny little beignets that are filled with fruit filling and fried fresh sweet butter. It's pretty good. And we got a whoopie pie that is like a cake pie with whipped cream in it, and it was nice. The weather was muggy and stuff, but at least it wasn't hot. I was talking to my wife about Florida when we went a few years ago to go to Disney World, and a beautiful place, but I don't know how people live there. I visit in the fall, but even one of the days in mid-November we were there was brutal, gross mugginess. Thankfully, it wasn't too hot. But yeah, it was cool to see the Top Gun house. There is some movie history here in San Diego. There should be television studios here. It's all those studios now. Someone told me they're just used for military, like training videos and stuff like that. But they used to do USA Television in the '90s. Would film some shows here. Lorenzo Lamas had his crime action show, Silk Stockings, I think it was called. I never saw it. No, Renegade was Lorenzo Lamas' show. Silk Stockings was another show produced at the same place. But there's a cool little diner there called Studio Diner. And it was first built like for the studio crew people to eat at, but then it became open to the public. And that's a San Diego favorite. People like the Studio Diner quite a bit. So, but I'm working on a page of tires here. I don't want to show you the other thing I'm working on. I quit working on that. It's some concept art for a client. I'm actually doing a little bit of freelance work. I typically don't take any freelance work, but this was a client and that's been trying to get me to work for him for years. And when I saw what the project was, it was really something I wanted to do. So I'm doing that, but it doesn't interfere with anything we're doing with Empyrean, with the Unstoppable Tyrus, any of that. Not worried about it messing with those schedules. So we have a firmer, more firm or firmer. I don't know. That's a weird idea of what we're doing now, schedule wise, because we've just been doing a lot of work. But like, what do we do? What are we doing business wise? Are we? When are these things coming out? With crowdfund, we know it's this year, and I think what I'm leaning to now, talking with the people I work with and partners and stuff, I think what I'm leaning to now is Empyrean, like a big Comic-Con launch for it. So. Yeah, it's like I said, it's done. We should be getting books from the printer delivered to me, a small batch, like proof, next week. I think they should be delivered to me, and take a look at those. But I think at Comic-Con is when we do all the crowdfund and get everything going, So, and then the Tyrus stuff, I'm thinking more, even though I'll be done with it this summer sometime, I'm thinking more of a fall crowdfund, and then you can get it before Christmas. That's what I'd like to do. We'll see how it goes. So slowing down the work a little bit, but just slowing it down to get it right. There's no sense in rushing this stuff and getting it right. There's really no point in that. So if you're in here, please hit the like, hit the share. I need you to do that for me. I appreciate it. You got anything for me?
Not yet. No, sorry.
Are you busy?
No, I was looking for stuff. No, I wanted to say about the Top Gun house that I thought it was really cool that they preserved it, because all around it are new condos and hotels.
Right.
And it's a little tiny older house.
It's a cottage.
It's a cottage, like in the middle of a bustling, like very hipster, and touristy, very much so. And it's really neat to just see it there sitting in between all of that.
Yeah, and they had his Kawasaki, the motorcycle he
Mhm.
took off on to go romance. What is her name?
I don't know.
I want to say Kelly McGinnis. Am I making that name up completely? I think that's who the actress was.
It sounds familiar, but I'm not 100% sure.
Could be wrong. Might have heard that name somewhere else.
Ramdog says, "Hey, I came into a bork, bork, bork."
Oh yes, that is the Swedish chef.
Oh,
Do Swedish people find that character funny? Because as a kid, I really liked him.
I don't know. I don't know who that
Are they
is.
going to get rid of him because it's bigoted? I guess not, because he's white, because he's Swedish, so it won't matter. You don't know the Swedish chef, Peter?
No, I
You've
don't.
seen him. He has the hat. You can't see his eyes. He has a mustache. And he always says "scurvy derby," like "scurvy derby, scurvy,
Oh,
scurvy
this
doo." And
is
he's
the Muppet.
yeah, the Muppet, the Swedish chef. Yeah.
Yes, I've seen
Yeah,
him,
Bork, Bork,
but
Bork
I've
is a
never.
thing he says a lot.
I
too.
never saw the Muppets when I was a kid.
Wow.
So,
I only saw the Muppets a few times, but I liked them.
but yes, I do know who that is, but I don't really know. But I do know he talks like that.
There's nothing to know about it. That's his whole thing. I don't know anything else about it. I don't know if he's like Batman and his parents were murdered in an alley. So
Okay.
he decided to become a chef for justice. Like maybe he has a superhero origin. You don't know.
Perhaps. I don't know. But I do think it is funny that he doesn't say any real words.
Yeah. Can you imagine if they had done that with another ethnicity? Like they got the Chinese chef. Uh-oh.
What would he say?
They would have been like Mickey Rooney in Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Oh, no.
I called the police on you. You have to see it to believe it.
I think I saw it while you were watching that movie.
Something else.
And his eyes looked kind of funny.
Completely unnecessary. Like
right.
I guarantee you, there were Japanese people
available.
In LA they
yes.
would have hired to make that movie. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I'm positive too.
Yeah.
The Horror of One says, "What's up, Gabe?"
Hey, how you doing, Horror of One? We're doing good over here. Getting it done, making a lot of funny books.
And he said that Wei Wong was a butler for Doctor Strange. Then they turned him into his Chinese sensei.
Well, remember, there was a guy on the Air Force Base in the beginning of Green Lantern named, wait for it. Now, Asian people a lot of times do have a high cheekbone, round, flat face. Not all of them, but that is a thing you will see in Asian populations. And a racist term for that is pie face. And there was a character in the Green Lantern comics called Pie Face. Oh boy. That is something.
They didn't even try with that one.
The way they fix it in the modern comics is somebody calls him Pie Face and Green Lantern gets after him and chews their ass.
So then he's the good guy.
Yeah. Don't be called my friend Pie Face. So I'm not woke, I'm not a leftist, but I don't think it's great writing to call someone Pie Face. I feel like that's not great writing. So it's probably not something we need. So bye-bye, Pie Face. Thank you for all the memories.
None the Miser said, "My first movie my parents took me to was Muppets Take Manhattan. It was at the drive-in theater that no longer exists."
Oh wow. Who's your favorite Muppet?
We'll see what he says. Ramdog says, "I was born the same day the 4th episode premiered. The original Swedish Chef sketch had Chinese subtitles. By all accounts, Swedes found it funny."
Oh wow. My favorite Muppet is always going to be Gonzo. I like it. I always like the guy that's like the outsider, the second guy. I never liked the first guy. I don't like Mickey Mouse. I like Donald Duck. I don't like Bugs Bunny. I like Daffy Duck. For some reason, I always identified and liked the outsider second guy. Even like Voltron. I didn't like Keith. I like Lance. Star Wars. I don't like Luke. I like Han. I noticed this pattern when I was young that I always liked the second guy. And maybe it's because I'm a younger brother or something like that. I don't know.
None the Miser says that Animal is his favorite.
Identify with Animal.
The horror of one says, "I love the Muppets."
They're great. They don't, whoever owns the Muppets, it's Disney owns them, right? They don't do shit with them,
Do they still have?
man. Last I saw, Disney Plus had a Muppet Babies cartoon like 4 years ago, and Gonzo was telling everyone he was all kinds of genders.
Oh boy.
So there you go. That was the last thing I saw. It was 2-3 years ago.
I remember that.
Gonzo was telling kids that he was all kinds of genders. So yeah,
Great.
It's a great one.
The horror of one said, "Ha ha ha!" The first movie I ever saw was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990.
Oh wow, that's a great movie. I just reviewed that with Jericho. It holds up. It holds up. It's one of the better comic book movies, of which there should be many. There should be fewer comic book movies, as in almost none at all. Now, my graphic novels, they should all be movies. But the MCU, we don't need any more of that. I have a feeling, you guys out there, and you know this, my relationship with DC Comics, it's fine with me. Maybe they don't like me. I'm like, whatever. I don't hate those people. But I have a feeling the Superman movie is going to be good. And this is coming from someone. It's ironic that I became viral, world famous for defending Superman when I am not even really a Superman fan. I never really have been. Again, this is that first guy, second guy thing. I always like Batman, not Superman. But the reason I stood up and quit working at Warner Brothers over a character that wasn't really what I cared about or liked is because I cared about what he means to the mythos of American culture. Like, you kidding me? That's insulting mom and apple pie and no more baseball, but football. Like, that's insulting just our way of life in this country. And I do have a feeling that's going to be a good movie. I don't know why. I've read online the screenings are terrible. They want rumors they're going to refilm things. This and that. I don't buy it. I think DC Comics has done a lot of dumb stuff with their movies, and they get picked on and snickered at because it's the cool thing to do to make fun of them, because some of their movies haven't been great. And I think their whole approach to their cinematic universe wasn't well thought out or executed. They got very impatient and said, well, Marvel did, those 10 movies and then had the Avengers. What if we just had like 1 or 2 movies and then just had our Avengers Justice League? And it's like, yeah, that's not how that works. So part of seduction, let me tell you men, something out there, sales and seduction are the same thing. They're all persuasion. And if you look at sales like seduction, it's like, you got to have the buildup. You got to have the anticipation, right? You don't just jump into bed with your socks still, right? Dinner, little whatever. So all those lead up movies, the Hulk and Iron Man and Captain, that's the seduction. That's that it's coming. It's coming. Hold on. And that hold on is like the fun. That's the fun part, is the tension and release. Tension and release. That's how art works, sales, seduction, all of it works with tension and release. How exciting is it to think of going to the fancy restaurant this Friday with your favorite dish, and you're going to dress up a little, and oh my God, this appetizer they have. And then during the meal and after is fine, but it's not as good as the build-up. The build-up is always great because it's in your imagination. And DC did not spend time on the build-up in their cinematic universe. So how can you pay something off if you don't build it up? It would be like, to hammer the point home, a comedian going on stage and just telling punchlines. You can't tell punchlines if you don't tell the set.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's what DC's problem was. And it's so glaringly obvious. I don't know how they missed it, but I do. It's art by committee. When it's art, when 50 people are in charge, nobody's in charge, So that's why you need a decisive leader to say, we're doing this. And he needs good advisors. And you notice I said he. But you can't have a bunch of people looking around just agreeing to get along. You're like, I don't want to rock the boat. I want to keep my job and my bonus and my corporate credit card. I just better not say anything. And like, no, that's not leadership. And leadership is telling the truth. That's leadership. So
that's true.
So those are my, I guess with inflation, my 10 cents on DC Comics movies.
In regards to you being world news, the horror of one said, truth, justice, and the American way always, Gabe.
Absolutely.
And
yeah, that was astonishing to me what they've done to Superman. Now, if they go with the Christopher Reeves kind of Superman for this new movie, they'll have a hit on their hands. Look at Top Gun Maverick. We just all need to look at that in the era of woke. When you just give people the old pre-woke kind of entertainment, they eat it up and they ask for more. And if they just go full Christopher Reeves, wholesomeness, Americana, a handsome guy with a bright smile who's kind and brave and strong, and just that same Christopher Reeve kind of thing, they'll have a hit on their hands. If they want to go woke and say that right-wing chud incels are the real problem in America, it's racist white men, do it at your peril. Do it at your peril of all losing your jobs and losing a lot of money for the stockholders and just continuing to slide right down the toilet as you have been for a while. So.
Mr. Reese says, yo, Tío Gabe, how was Mexico?
Mexico was fantastico. It was the food was really good. The neighborhood we stayed in was very upscale. My son got a tip from a world traveling family that he knows, a family of means, nice people. They travel a lot, and the mother told my son, whenever she's going to a place she's not familiar with, she looks for the Gucci store and the Louis Vuitton store. And when you find those stores, book a hotel or a condo or Airbnb right next to those, because they don't put those in crap-ass neighborhoods. And I'm like, wow, that is beautiful in its simplicity, that concept. So we looked around, and my son got us some stuff in the really nice neighborhoods. And here's how you know it's nice. We're eating at an Italian restaurant, of all things, in Mexico City. The first night we were there, and a woman walked by in the dark alone. A woman on a walk alone. I don't know if she had a dog with her or whatever. It was like a 40-year-old woman just walking alone. Okay? That's how you know. And it was, you could tell. I mean, I saw a Cybertruck. There were just stuff everywhere and people that looked like they had money and, good clothes, good haircuts. And it just, So look for the, as they say in French, Louis Vuitton. Look for the Louis Vuitton store and the Gucci store and things like that. And you'll find yourself a nice place to stay.
I thought it was really cool that if you, like, right where we were at, it was like just a neighborhood. But if you walked the rest of the block, it was a short walk to the end of the street, you were out in the bustling city.
Yeah.
And right next to Chapultepec Metro Center.
Yeah, I mean, we were in the heart of Mexico City. They have, like New York City, I wasn't aware of this. Like New York City, Mexico City has a Central Park. And it's very historic. There's a few museums there. There's a castle there, the only castle in America. There are no castles in America. There's an actual Spanish castle, gorgeous. We toured it. And it's a Central Park filled with trees and wide boulevard, but walkways, not for cars and all that. And we were 2 blocks from Chapultepec Park. So Chapultepec, like in New York City, Central Park, it's surrounded by some really bougie neighborhoods, some really fancy stuff. So yeah, that is the move. Find the Louis Vuitton store and then book nearby what you can afford. And Mexico was a delight. It really was cool. I definitely would go back. I'm going to go to a lot of other places first. We're just starting our international travel. We haven't traveled much as a family. We didn't have a lot of money the first half of our marriage, and then so far the last 10, 15 years where we finally had some money, we've been working a lot and not going many places. So now I'm ready to start cashing in on some of this hard work and taking the family around. It's going to be
nice. Excuse me. Antonio says, "What up, Gabe?" Mrs. E in the chat.
Hey.
And then the Horror of One asked Gabe, "Is it true they don't let you walk on the Mesoamerican temples anymore?"
You can't walk on the big ones, the Temple of the Moon and the Temple of the Sun, 2 giant pyramids in that complex. And then the third one, I didn't catch the name, but it has like the heads of Quetzalcoatl, the lizard feathered serpent god, still there. They're huge. They're like 4 or 5 feet long and 2 or 3 feet tall. They're still on there, dozens of them. It's like looking at something in the Legend of Zelda video. I've never seen anything like that in real life. That one you can't walk on either, but you walk right up to them. There are many smaller little platforms and things you can walk all over them. I took a lot of photos. I posted some videos. Look in my YouTube shorts when we're done with this show, and you'll see that I showed some videos walking around. I guess during the lockdowns, they quit letting people walk on the temples, on the major pyramids. Now, if you can figure out what the lockdowns have to do with walking on the pyramids, you will be the first person to figure that out. But they quit doing it then, and they just haven't allowed it since. I hope they allow it again Sunday. I was telling my son, we were walking around, he's way into like history and all that kind of stuff, just like me. And I said, how cool would it be to be a super, super rich guy and rent these pyramids out at night and come and tour this thing in like a full moon, blue light everywhere? Because I mean, it really does just feel like something when you're there. It's just really amazing to.
You're like taken back in time.
Yeah, but I think it'd be really cool to see what that place is like at night. So.
Yeah. Logic's Finest says, Gen X, I salute you, sir, and support your work. Most importantly, I support the common sense that you stand for. My best to you and your family. You've built a legacy for Big Baby.
Hey, thank you very much. Well, I'll tell you what, you are part of the legacy too when you support me. You know, last week I had such a treat. My good friend, who I'll be seeing later this week, the great Dean CAIN, was on the #1 rated show on cable television, the Greg Gutfeld news program. And Tyrus is a host there too. We all know the Tyrus. And I thought, I'm making comic books with both these guys at the same time. And they're there on the show. And I thought, what a treat for me. But I also think, what a treat for you guys. You do that. You guys make that happen. You go to Big Man Comics, and you buy my stuff, and you support this, and you subscribe, and you tweet, and all these things you graciously give me. You didn't know me at first. So I think, what a thing we've done. You know what I mean? So take pride in that, you know, that we're moving. And you know, I don't go out and boast too much or talk too much. I really work a lot, but you know, you'll see it pay off because it's like, well, where's Gabe? What's going on? This and that, and I don't want to tweet too much and this and that, and I don't like to make plans and then have to take them back. That's one thing I'm very aware of, and I have done that. Everyone has, you know, you want to do this and like, it didn't work out the way we planned it, but I think you guys can take pride in what we are getting done here. You know what I mean? So thank you.
Yeah, and here's a big question for you. Gabe, are you attending? This is the horror of one. Are you attending San Diego Comic-Con this year?
Absolutely. I mean, I live 10 minutes from there if there's no traffic. I live right up the road from the San Diego Convention Center. It's my hometown, and I take pride in that. And to me, it's like a home game. Like, yes, it's a Comic-Con, but you're coming to my Comic-Con. I live here. I'm a comic artist in this town. And yeah, I'll have my booth, 1705. I've had the booth for a few years now. I was at a table in Artist Alley for like 12 or 14 years, but I switched to an actual big booth. We're going to have some great stuff for you there. Might have some cool guests coming by to do some autographing and all that, like we always do. I'm trying to put together a party for Wednesday night. We always had that great party. We've had it for like 8 or 9 years. Last year, we sold out my friend's pizza place. He closed that location right next to the Comic-Con because he moved to a different building. They were supposed to open in April. They're not going to open until the fall. So we're doing what we can. I have connections. I have people I know who have clubs downtown right by the Comic-Con. And you'll be the first to know, following me on social media and all that, talking to some big names that you love to come to the party again, to come to my booth and all that. We're going to have a great time. We'll have comics. We'll have things you can check out. And we're just going to grow every year. And I say we, you guys, you're part of it when you support me. So, yeah, we're going to be there. I hope to see as many of you as possible, meet you in person. That's a delight to me. You know, that's really fun to me, very rewarding to see you guys and see the joy and excitement on your faces when you get something good from me.
Well, the horror of one says, cool, hope to see you in person.
All right.
It'll be good to see you too.
I don't like that saying. It's a corny one. It's I'll see you later, and then the other guy goes, not if I see you first. What does that mean? Like if you see someone, you're gonna run away so they can't find you? I get it's just ball busted, whatever.
This is back to you saying you don't know what the lockdowns have to do with shutting down people walking on the pyramids.
Oh, I know exactly what it has to do. I was being facetious.
Antonia 707 says that's easy. Lockdowns cause massive retardations, so you can't walk without a jab or a liberal burqa.
Yeah, you know, I have my opinions. It's YouTube, and we won't get into it too much. We all know what we think.
Remdog's asking, is getting a booth at Comic-Con still akin to procuring a New York City taxi cab badge?
Not for me, no. I walked up to where you pay for booths. I said, I'd like a booth next year. And then I paid. And then I had a booth.
But in general, I think it is hard
I think it is
because,
pretty hard. God bless me.
yeah,
Good timing.
because I think what happens is the people who, once you have a booth, you get first come, first serve
Yeah.
with that. So you're kind of grandfathered in. And if so many, there are only so many spots. So the only way to get a spot is for someone to not renew
Right.
theirs the next year.
Right.
So we must have come at the right time. And of course, we have God's blessing.
Yeah. So yeah, I just walked up and paid for the booth, and then I got an email. I think the emails come out like in September, October, and they're like, "Yes, we did give you a booth." So and now that, like she said, now that I have a booth, I'll always get one. So and you pay for it during the show. Like, sorry, it's 2025, as everyone knows. So for my 2026 booth, I will pay for that on Saturday this year at the Comic Con. So Saturday, July, like Saturday, July 26th or whatever, I'll just go over to the area where you pay for booths, and I'll pay for next year's booth this year. That's how you do it every year. So
yeah. Let's see here. Earlier, there was more talk about the chef from and Muppet Babies, but I thought this was funny. Rhyme Dog said, for a college art class, I had to channel my inner Gonzo and do the most ridiculous performative I don't know what this is supposed to say, drivel to pass the class.
Yeah, drivel.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So I think that's pretty funny because
I don't even know what that would mean. Like, you had to perform something.
It was performative art, or it was a college art class. So I'm sure they were getting artsy fartsy in there.
Yeah, I really think I haven't attended it, but I get the feeling like the LAWMAN school and some of those like video game concept art schools and movie and design concept art schools, I get the feeling those are very just art and technique focused and not liberal fat woman with green hair scolding you for having a penis focused, that kind of art school that nobody wants to go to. I feel like the LAWMAN school and some of those are actual art schools. Because that's all art schools should be. It should just be technique focused. How to think when you draw, and what to draw, and how to draw it. That's what art schools should only be. I don't need your damn politics. Get out
of here. Oh, so
fat woman that looks like she constantly has painful gas. That's how her face looks. Ugh.
What about Minnie's story about the teacher asking her
if was that in middle school?
It was. You want to tell them that story?
Yeah, our daughter, when she was in middle school, she dressed herself and was a little eclectic or eccentric in the way she dressed sometimes. And one of her teachers asked, "Are your parents artists?"
And she said, "Yeah, how did you know?" But now she realizes, obviously, why they asked her that.
I didn't notice her dressing funny. What do you think it was? I thought she dressed pretty normal. I don't dress weird. Just listen. Here's the thing about being an artist: just because you know how to draw doesn't mean you have to be an absolute freak weirdo. Like, can't you just draw and be normal?
I think in junior high, she also used to get into my closet and wear things that sometimes didn't fit right.
Oh.
And I think I had some interesting clothing probably back then too. And so it makes it more interesting when a kid wears it.
Okay.
But yeah, I used to try to tell her in a way that wouldn't hurt your feelings, like, "Oh, maybe you should put this on with that. I think it looked great." Because I would see her and I'd be like, "Oh my goodness." But yeah, she's doing good now though.
Yep.
Rem Dog said, because we were talking about his class, him doing performative art, that he wanted to focus on technique, but Ohio State has different ideas.
That's stupid. Yeah, art school's pretty disappointing. I think across the board, it's a lot of crazy liberal ideology. I'm unsure what that has to do with the ability to draw, but okay. And drawing is art. Like there's all kinds of art. As my professor, Seeger Harker, said to me, I was one of his best illustration students. I took life drawing repeatedly. I took printmaking from him. I took a lot of drawing classes from him. He was a master illustrator. And he loved how well I could draw, and he didn't like how most of the students were just not very good at drawing. It's a weird thing when I was in college, like how bad most of the art students were at art. Like, what are you doing here? You know, like you don't see people on the college football team who are learning to play football. Like they know how from their youth. And you would imagine people at an art school, like they know how to do art from their youth and they just go to college to refine it. And he would always come up to me in life drawing and look at what I was doing, look at the model. He just loved what I was doing. And he whispered in my ear once, he said, "You can't draw, you know." And I see that whenever I see like these people splattering like, paint on the wall, or there was a guy dumping a bunch of buckets of sand and a bunch of liberal idiots were watching him and clapping for him at this museum somewhere. And what do I always say when I see horrible art like that, Adrian? What do I always say to the artist, even though they're not there with me in the room? What do I always say when I see the stupid art? I say one thing that they should do.
Learn how to draw.
Just learn to draw. Please stop frustrating yourself. Just learn to draw. It is a skill that can be learned. It's not just some talent that's mysterious and you can only be born with blah, blah, blah. You can absolutely learn to draw. And you can learn to draw at a world-class level. You can learn that. Anyone can learn it. Do not believe it. And one of the most frustrating things, I don't waste my time arguing with people anymore. I don't know how many people who are not artists, so they wouldn't know, sit there and argue with me to my face that it's a talent.
They didn't want
I'm the one who lives it, and you're telling me how it works. Like, do you realize how stupid that is? I've had multiple. No, it's talent. No, it's talent. Okay. What would I know?
They're not there in the hours where you're alone, just sitting, drawing and drawing and drawing.
Thousands and thousands of hours.
The years that go by.
The decades that it took to learn to do this.
Right.
Quite literally, you think of one of the greatest illustrators you've ever. They couldn't do this when they were little. You are not born this way. What the hell are you talking about? It's that thing like with Mozart where they said he made symphonies at age 7. I hope nobody in my audience actually believes that. You have rocks in your head if you think that's actually true. People love to say stupid shit like that. It sounds really exciting and crazy. I guarantee you that isn't true. It's absolutely not true. There are people with talents, they have an inclination for things. They can learn music or illustration rapidly. I know I'm one of those people. I can learn it way faster than most people. Anyone can learn it. But no, Mozart did not write symphonies when he was 7. Don't be an idiot.
Antonia707 says, I never understood how Jackson Pollock is considered art.
That is a CIA op, and that you can look that up yourself. That is proven. The brutalism and ugly art and hopelessness and breaking our culture, that is done by the powers that be to discourage people. There's a reason that doesn't smell right to you, because it is bullshit. That isn't art. That is. Remember the fairy tale, the Emperor's New Clothes, and those thieves come to town and they pretend to weave him these beautiful clothes of silk and gold and all this stuff, and the Emperor's out there butt naked. And what does all the audience and the peasants say? Oh my God, it's so beautiful, it's so beautiful, it's so beautiful. And nobody wants to be the person to say, it's not wearing anything. That's the modern art stuff. It's bullshit. It's total bullshit. And there are, operations against us, the general public, to demoralize us. Yes, when you demoralize the people, you get them to give up, to quit. That's exactly what elites want. They just want you to go to work, pay them taxes, and hopefully die before you can retire and enjoy any sort of money from them. And it's not from them, your retirement is yours.
Right. They try to give you fatigue on different subjects.
Yeah, they just look at your Twitter feed. Look at the news. Look at TikTok. Look at Instagram. Like, that is curated on purpose to irritate you, to make you hate women, hate gays, hate black people, hate whatever. Like, all that divide and conquer is there. And it works beautifully. And it's one of the oldest things in the book that the elites have done. This is, thousands of years old, this concept. If you've ever read The Prince by Machiavelli, if you haven't read it, read it. It's not very long. You can pick it up, audiobook, regular digital book. It's very cheap. You can pick it up really cheap. The Prince by Machiavelli. And it's Machiavelli giving a prince tips on how to run an empire, what to do, what not to do, who to side with, who to assassinate, who to blah, blah, blah. It's all that Game of Thrones evil political shit. And so much of it is about manipulating the peasants. Like, go read that book. It'll open your eyes somewhat. And here's the thing. You can't know everything. You can't know the secret plans of evil people. You can't, because they're secret, that they go to a lot of effort to hide it. What you can do is have a heuristic, a formula in your own mind. And here's a formula I want all of you to always have. Everything you see in the news, always everywhere, right wing, left wing, independent, everything you see is bullshit. Tell yourself that. You don't know if it's bullshit. You don't know if it's true. But if you start there and then work backwards to prove things to yourself, that will help you. Because right now, the premise you have is everything is true. And, I find out once in a while things aren't true. Do it backwards. Everything you see is, we'll see. That's how you should do it. That's what I do. And always, like the two on the nose thing, be very wary of that. When you hear news that hits perfectly for what you want to believe, be very suspicious of that. Because that could be, a setup. That's someone telling you what you want to believe. Because why ask yourself this? Are products typically free? No, there's a cost involved in the product, right? It costs money to make a can of soda, so they got to charge you for it.
Right.
You can't just make soda and give it to you. The news is free.
Why?
Why is the news free? They just like you. Hey, Rem Dog, I just thought you would want to know this. Cost them billions to make the news. Why is it free? Nothing is free. It's free to manipulate you. I'm going to tell you this so you believe this. And when you believe it, you'll act on it. Because that's how beliefs work. You act on what you believe. That's why the news is free.
Yeah.
That's why pornography is free, by the way. You shouldn't be looking at that shit. There should be a rule. If you're one of my customers, you're on my channel, that you don't look at that. If you're a man or, I was just saying man or, like, no, that's what, I'm not going to get into that because it's a lot to talk about, but I think it should be illegal. And you can get mad at me, free speech, blah, blah. It should absolutely be illegal. Absolutely be illegal. It only hurts everyone involved. It hurts the people that look at it. It hurts the people that make it. It does no good for anyone anywhere. It should absolutely be illegal. And I don't want to hear any shit about free speech in regards to that. I'm not an attorney, so we need the best lawyers in the universe to protect free speech while we get rid of that. But it absolutely shouldn't exist. It's bullshit.
In regards to bad art, None the Miser said, I screen printed a soup can. I'm a genius. And
right.
Antonio 707 says, or the toilet seat in the middle of the art museum.
Right.
So lame.
One of the biggest offenders is the British Damien Hirst. He just gets paid zillions of dollars to make total dog shit.
I don't know who that is. And then Mr. Reese says, or the banana taped to canvas.
Right.
Shake my head.
Right. And that's on purpose to demoralize you. Because art is about truth and beauty. That's what art is about.
I saw on some social media thing, a guy, he just put a piece of salami on a slice of bread and framed it, and he snuck it into an art museum or art show or something.
I saw that.
Put it on the wall, and then shows people standing there in front of it, like contemplating it. And it's just like, when I see that kind of stuff, the only thing that I'm not contemplating, what did the artist think when he was doing this? I just think, like, who thinks this is art?
Dumb people. See, this goes to narcissism and the worship of self. The reason people want to get artsy and go there, the real meaning of the illustrator, the author, the whatever, it feels good to feel smart. And when you feel smart, then you can flex your ego and just worship yourself and have others worship you. And it feels good to go get your little cocktail and wear a black turtleneck and art glasses and just, guys, I'm just so artistic and I'm so smart. I'm so much better than everyone. And like, I don't know. It's really gross and it's really weak. It's really weak thinking of a weak mind that needs that. And it's a plague in the art world, Art is no different than laying bricks. It's no different than being a janitor. It's a job and it's a thing you do, and anyone can do it.
And there are people good at their job and bad at their job.
Right. But anyone that works hard consistently and long enough will be good at their job. Period.
Right.
You can't not be.
This is funny. Lucas98 says, years ago, there was an art thing at my university that my ex wanted to see. We went without knowing what it was. It turned out to be people standing on tables in their underwear shouting random words.
Yeah, no, it's great. Instead of learning to draw, you can do that and then call yourself an artist. And don't get me wrong, it is art. What is art? Like, this is debated, and it's like, there's no debate here. Art has a definition. Everything has a definition. Art is self-expression. That's all it is. So whenever you do something to express yourself, you're creating art. Because people are like, AI is not art. It is art. It is. It's not good art, but it's art. And here's the self-expression of what AI, like if you do a bunch of AI illustrations and pass them off as your own, what you are expressing is that you're lazy and entitled. And you don't want to work hard to actually learn to draw, so you'd rather use AI. That's what you're expressing. That's still self-expression. So yeah, it's art. It's saying something pretty bad about you, but you are expressing yourself. So that's So yes, standing on chairs and shouting random words is art. And what that's saying is you're a pretentious snob and you're an egomaniac and you want attention and praise and wonderment from people for doing nothing. That's what you're saying about yourself. So
stuff like that, if I'm ever a witness to it, I'm embarrassed. I have like secondhand embarrassment about what's happening.
You know what I'm gonna do if I go to a show like that, which I could only end up at something like that by accident, I think.
Yeah.
I would be like, excuse me, how long, like this is amazing. How long did it take you to learn to stand on a chair and shout banana? What, like if I wanted to do that someday, how long do you think it would take? Are we talking like 8-9 years? Like how does one like where? Like what art school will teach me this? I'm fascinated by it. So like how long do you think this would take me? Just ask them something like that. Just humiliate them.
Mr. Reese says, I remember a while back some guy put his glasses on the floor in an art museum, and in half an hour later, a bunch of people gathered around the glasses.
I guarantee you someone could just lay a Duke on the floor in a museum and people would just start photographing it.
Yeah.
It's a commentary on San Francisco politics. That's the other one is that these idiots at the universities do is media literacy. And magically, every book and every author always secretly meant that leftism and all this stuff is really great, and anything conservative, good, religious, Christian, patriotic, or male is evil. That's what Tolkien was really getting at. That the author is long dead, usually, or not available for comment.
Right.
And these idiot professors will start ascribing meaning at like manna from heaven, that their word is the holy word of truth. I argued with a humanities professor at a junior college. I went to a junior college for a semester before I went to university because I never took my SATs or ACT or anything. But I was already 21, so they're just going to let me into the university. But they had me take, a semester at a junior college, 1 or 2, I think just 1. And this humanities professor was a lady with short hair and glasses, and it was, like doing, world cultures and religion. And we did the book of Job from the Bible. And then she starts saying what the book of Job really means.
Oh, boy.
And that what it really means is that God is not all powerful and he needs us to do things. That I just argued with her. I was like, I'm not letting you get away with that. You're not going to do that. And I could see the other kids in the class like, this guy's a teacher. And I wouldn't let it go. And I was killing her too in the argument. And she's getting so mad. I proved her wrong so much.
That's exactly what I thought.
This dumb bitch, like, You're going to come up in here and just say you know the truth of the Bible and you know more than like God. Like, get the hell out of here. Like, seriously, get out of here.
I think at a principle, though, you have to tell her she's wrong because those are your convictions.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I did. You're not going to sit here and say this.
Yeah.
And by the way, that disagrees with the rest of the Bible. God is not all powerful and needs my help. I don't think so. If God needs my help, we are in a lot of trouble, people. I'm a human being.
Right.
I
Oh.
remember that. Ugh, what
Yeah, some of my college courses, I just remember thinking the teacher was just so wrong and what they were teaching the class was wrong. But I was so shy back then, there was no way I was going to argue with the teacher.
You know me.
Yeah, I know.
I was in the face for days.
And
to her credit, she didn't give me a bad grade.
Oh, good.
You know, she did argue with me.
Of course, she's got to argue her point of what she's teaching the class and not just concede to a student. Antonio 707 says, so San Francisco poop on the streets is just art?
Yes, it is commentary.
And then, sorry.
They're expressing themselves that they don't follow the rules
right.
of society. You don't follow your narrow-minded view of where one can relieve themselves.
Right. They're just expressing
That's
their
part of
right.
The patriarchy and the tyranny of the white man saying you need to take a shit in a toilet in private where no one else can enjoy it.
That was the key, enjoyment. Yeah. None the Miser says, meanwhile, the Mona Lisa is being defaced by eco-terrorists.
Yeah. I don't know. Art school's a joke, man. It's funny. If you're gonna go to art school, do your homework and find one that's just gonna teach you art and has male professors that are retired artists. Those were I didn't have good art teachers. Of the 20, 30 professors I had in college, they were pretty mediocre, except for about 3. They were men and they were retired working professionals. They knew what they were talking about. Most of the ladies were just like bitter feminists who couldn't draw. Like, how are you an art teacher and you can't draw? Ugh. I had one female professor that could draw super good, and she was an illustrator, and she was like 82. She was my teacher. So she was a retired illustrator, had been illustrating for years. But she was very artsy. She owned like a barn where she would do theater productions. So, yeah. Nothing wrong with it. It's just, wow, what a stereotype.
She embraced it fully.
Yeah. Because I remember asking her, like, where do you do these plays? She's like, oh, I have a barn. Like, who's in? Well, me and my husband run it, and we find local actors and stuff. I'm like, wow, fascinating. Yeah, he's not hurting anyone.
What did her husband do?
He was a music guy, so he had gone to the university. They went to the university like in the 40s or the 50s.
Yeah,
and he was like one of the big music professors. But he played music professionally for years, I think. On a small scale, but still.
Yeah.
And then he was like the curator of there was like a music museum or a music library. I don't know how that works. I've never really been to. I knew where it was, but it was on the center of the campus there. I think by McKinley Hall. Whatever the center of the campus was, the old center, not the new center. My wife and I went to the same university, so she knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I never went to the art area except for a couple times when I went to visit you.
This was that center campus, and it has a music museum. I don't know what that means. There's just a bunch of music books in there, sheet music and stuff. I don't know. Never went in.
Yeah, I don't think I ever went over there. I stuck to my one building of accounting courses. Claude Parrish says, I lost my mind when I saw a piece of quote unquote performance art, which was a man and a woman connected by a 9-foot piece of rope. They did it for a year and weren't able to talk to each other for a year. Dumb.
Learn to draw.
I feel like that's just torturing yourself for no reason.
These people, they're lazy. They don't want to work and they don't want to draw and they want to be worshipped. It's despicable. It really is. I'm going to judge it fully. I am. And I don't give a shit. It's despicable behavior. And bad art is evil because it's demoralizing and it hurts people's spirit, mind, body, like maybe body. I don't know. It definitely hurts the mind. Looking at filth, degeneracy, sarcasm, insulting, evil art, it's bad for everyone. And if you make it on purpose, you're being a creep to your fellow man.
Yeah. Like I said, I get secondhand embarrassment at stuff that's just like, that's not art.
Well, I would challenge them and say, okay, your little whatever, you're tying a rope to each other and doing this stupid art thing. What are you expressing here? What do you really care about? Why is this so important to you that you say, I need to take time and energy to do this, and society needs to see me do this? Why? I would just challenge them. Why? What is the point here? And they give you some convoluted thing full of giant stupid words that they're using incorrectly. But it's like, you could ask me why I do what I do. I can answer you clearly, succinctly, instantly. I can tell you exactly why I'm making the art I make, because I know why I'm doing it. I know exactly why I'm doing it. And I think they're doing it to be praised, to be pretentious artists. And they would never admit that because they're also cowards. So yes, I cast a heavy, heavy finger of judgment on these people. Because I know, I went to college with them. I know these people.
They want the praise, but they don't want to do the work.
Right, and that's evil. That's evil and selfish.
Yeah. We got a few minutes before it's time to go, but Mr. Reese says, Gabe, who's your favorite artist?
I can't nail it down. I think the finest American artist ever is J.C. Leyendecker. He's just like unreal. And then I love painters. I think that's the ultimate form of illustration because you're combining color with line. Obviously, Frank Frazetta, J.C. Leyendecker, they're probably the two greatest American painters of all time. A third place for me would be like a Paul Bonner, the British guy. He's outrageously good. For just straight up black and white illustrators, I love Nestor Redondo. I love Wally Wood. I love Jim Lee. What an inspiration he was when I was a kid. I mean, there's so many great comic book illustrators. But, I think it's going to be like Paul Bonner and J.C. Leyendecker, and Nestor Redondo, genius. Filipino architect who started working for DC Comics like in the 60s. I picked up at Comic-Con about 10 years ago, Rima the Jungle Girl was a miniseries he did for DC in the 60s. And his use of positive, here's the thing that Nestor Redondo did. So you see this wolf here? Right, Adrian? It's on screen.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was looking.
He would use negative space so well. I'm going to show you some negative space like this. If I cut into the hair like that,
yeah,
it looks like there's a hair. The way he would do like an etching. I love, if you go way back hundreds of years, Albert Durr. He was one of the first mass artists where instead of just doing a painting, he would do an etching in copper, right? And then print it and, print 1,000 copies. So Albert Durr was like one of the first businessmen artists who were like, holy cow, if I print my art, because printing was new back then, right? We're talking, I think this is 1400s or 1300s, whatever. I don't know. I don't know when Albert Durr was around. It was hundreds and hundreds of years ago. But he would do prints of his etchings, and he was one of the first major guys doing that stuff. And it was like, wait a minute, if I print this out, then we can sell a lot instead of doing one painting, and then the king pays me for one painting.
Right.
I can print thousands of these. So that was revolutionary to me. You have Katsushiro Otomo. I mean, he's a visionary. He's the Japanese Will Eisner. You have Noriyoshi Orai. He is the Japanese Frank Frazetta. Just fucking unbelievable painter. But Katsushiro Otomo wrote and illustrated Akira and directed the movie. And like, what a visionary, what a complete artist he is as a writer, illustrator, movie director. Like, just geez. So it's you always got to be working. Always got to be working. Always got to be beg, borrow, steal from your favorites and try and figure out what the hell it is they're doing and recreate it, your own thing. And it's just about the work. I think most artists, we're going to quit here in just a second. It's practically new. Come here every Monday through Friday. We're live. We're taking questions. We're growing Big Man Comics. You're a big part of it. But it was about work. It was about work. Oh, most artists, my experience working as a professional artist for years and going to art school, most artists do not love art. They do not burn deep inside to make art because they have to say something to the world. because it's important and they want to better the world. They love the idea of being a god and being worshipped for being an artistic, rock star is what they want to be. And that's gross and disappointing. But that's most artists that I've met. Most of the mediocre ones, that's what their problem is. So look how great this looks. This is coming along. I'm not telling you what's happening. The Ensemble Towers, there's a werewolf. There's a Wendigo, Sasquatch. So look at these. These are Sasquatch hunters. And they're doing their podcasts. And they got the film. And all of a sudden he comes out of the tree like, hey, what's up? Like they weren't expecting to actually see him because the whole thing is fraud anyway. They didn't actually know the Sasquatch was real. But you'll see what this all has to do with Tyrus sooner rather than later. All right. Is it that time?
It's time.
Okay, guys. Go to BigManComics.com. Hit CAIN LAWMAN Volume 1. Pick up a t-shirt while you're there. Follow me on X on Big Man Comics, and I'm Gabe. I'll tell you everywhere else except for on TikTok on Big Man Comics. I haven't really started posting there yet. I think I'm going to post like sped up videos drawing these pages on TikTok. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow, 11 to noon, Monday through Friday, Pacific time. Bye.
Bye.